Hey everybody, welcome to the 2021 Graduating Animation Visual Effects Class Film Festival. We have 7 animation films to share today. All of the presenters that'll be chatting with us after each of their films are shown, they are now alumni. Everyone had commencement the last couple of days. Super exciting. This is always a difficult time for me because I am no longer their teachers. I'm not their professor. I'm just the guy that they know from college, went back when they went to college, long ago. And with me, of course, are Dave Moriello and Milady Bridges. Together, we've been advising the students as they worked through their films, and Master of Ceremonies here will be Milady. And so with that, I will hand it off to Milady.
Thank you, Nick. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're here today because we are celebrating our graduating seniors and all of their outstanding work. So just want to say quick words and then we'll get right into it. The animation and visual effects program is not an easy program. It takes dedication, perseverance, and a strong supportive community in order to achieve success. I am very proud of our students and all that they've achieved. They continue to impress me by how supportive they are of each other and how they've continued to build strong connections through these challenging times. Despite limited to no access to computer labs and the inability to physically meet in person, these students have successfully produced their senior capstone projects and they've created some beautiful work. So let's go ahead and get started. Our very first animated short is brought to you by Team Space Camp and tells the story of one man's journey through space in search of a new home that will ensure the survival of the human race, but most importantly, the survival of his daughter. I present to you Light Years Apart.
Stay in planet range for analysis.
We made it, Dad. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We have Team Space Camp with us. So say hello, Space Camp.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
All right. So audience members, if you have any questions for the teams, please put it in the chat box. We have someone, Dave actually, watching the chat box. So we'd love to answer your questions. I'll get started. So first and most obvious question, what was the inspiration behind your story?
Well, I think my personal one, I think everybody can pitch in because it was different for everybody. I looked a lot at Interstellar. I think it has a very similar vibe with a father leaving a daughter to find something out there. So that was mine. What about you guys?
I really enjoyed the thought of space. I thought the space is a cool aspect to work with, and I liked playing with the idea of space and isolation. So that was the original inspiration, but after a while, it grew into the connection of Wen and his daughter.
Yeah, isolation was a big one. We experienced it firsthand.
So now I know a lot of you kind of have the specialties or areas of animation and visual effects that you're really interested in. So when you developed this story of this single character in space isolated, did you have to come up with clever ways for everyone to be able to accomplish what it was that they wanted to accomplish, whether it was certain visual effects simulations, certain types of animation? So can you talk a little bit about that process?
So the main purpose of the short is to make sure we can show off everyone's specialties, right? So our goal right from the get go, we knew that for the effects artist, we wanted to have effects. For animation, we'll have mocap and animation tied into it. We made sure our storyboards worked really well and all that. So our biggest goal was to make sure everyone was able to shine in the brightest light.
Sam, I think the biggest, a very clear example of that is actually the environments. So Sam and Gab, I know both of you worked on the interior of the ship. Can you maybe say a couple of words how that worked out for you?
Yeah, so working on the living quarters specifically, I had to tie in a lot of Wen's background and what his life would look like in terms of an environment. So a lot of that was shown through the pin board we had. And I took a lot of the inspiration from my own life and my own experiences and put that into the pin board and tried to really think of what a father-daughter connection would look like visually.
All right. Sam, did you want to add something?
I was just gonna say for the control room, it was kind of like more making it kind of the opposite because it's more of a it's like kind of more focused on like the mission at hand versus like while the control room kind of was more about like who Wen is outside of his mission. It was more about kind of making it the control room more like just focused on what he was doing during the short.
Yeah, so the split here was that one person took one room and the other person took the other room, and that nobody was stepping on anybody's toes, and it was very clearly delineated.
Thank you. So the pandemic certainly made life difficult for most people in the world, especially our senior project teams. Now, what was the biggest challenge for your team in terms of very limited access to the labs or hardware or technology and not being able to actually meet in person?
Right. Ara, I know you set up the whole remote desktop and kind of experienced it that firsthand. Do you want to say a couple of words?
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't thinking about the remote desktop stuff. It was more that like on the organizational part is making sure that everyone's on the same page, so we couldn't be there physically. You know, a lot of the spreadsheets, making sure everyone knows where the spreadsheets are, that people are updating them. In terms of equipment, the hardest challenge for us was motion capture, since you know, we fortunately enough, we had access to the mocap room, so we got to shoot data, very COVID safe. It was just the two of us, just like wearing masks whenever we weren't shooting face, and since we're living together, we were okay to shoot face together, shoot face wear data together. But in the end, I think the hardest part was that we couldn't get a actor, so everything you see is Shannon, and everyone you see is Shannon except for one shot that we got someone else to do a walk, because we realized that Shannon's walk would not be fit for a middle-aged dad astronaut.
My hips are too feminine. It's a curse.
So I'd love for you to dive a little bit more into the motion capture process. So usually a regular shoot requires multiple people, right? You have someone to run the hardware, the computer, the software, usually someone to shoot reference video. So how did you guys manage to shoot everything with just the two of you?
Well, the first shoot, we also brought Brandon on board. He was, you know, fortunate enough we were able to actually get reference for that one. That was the only time we were able to shoot reference because we had an extra person there. Otherwise, it was me in the suit and Ara on console, and it was incredibly bare bones. Like, Ara was taking notes, doing their best to get, you know, I guess notes in terms of reference and stuff like that. So it was interesting, but we were able to zoom in Maria, Gab, and I think some other people at one point just through a Zoom meeting to make sure that we were actually getting the data that we needed.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Fortunately, since you know, we have a lot of experience with the mocap system, and we have a lot of experience setting it up and shooting data for it. We could cut out a lot of things that are good to do but are not necessary, such as reference data. We took less notes so that we can focus on continuously shooting. So it was a lot of cutting corners, but since we knew what we were doing, it kind of allowed us to do so. And yeah, setting up like virtual meetings with the rest of the team who are responsible for the storyboarding and for the animatics to make sure that the movements that we have match what their vision is.
Great. All right, and this is for anyone in the team. What's the biggest technical challenge that you faced while working on this short?
Everything always breaks. Everything. Things that you thought were solid will break, and then will break again. So I think since I was overseeing the entire short, kind of the master of none, I was just experiencing people suffering firsthand because something just broke and like couldn't continue in the way that it was working before.
I think specifically it was the process of working locally on our computers while storing most of our bigger like assets and scenes on the server itself. And with one being the server being really slow since we're not directly linked to it at all, it was super slow. And on top of that, like pathings can be different and can break at random times. And we don't know exactly what it's causing since that's over our heads. So we just had to find workarounds or try to like brute force start everything over.
Right. Thank you, team. So your short is just absolutely lovely. I love it. I think you guys did a phenomenal job. I'm super proud of you guys for overcoming some of these challenges. So thank you again for joining us, and round of applause for you all. Snaps for you guys. All right, so we're going to move on to our next short. So next up, we have a charming tale about two characters that have to learn how to work together in order to win the prize. Please enjoy Dungeons and Stuffing from Team Toybox.
Once upon a time, in a land far away, we come across a pair of sibling heroes. Here's Sword, lightning fast and master of the blade. Here is Shield, our steadfast hero. He stands unwavering in the face of danger. And together they will... They will have to work together on their quest to claim the sacred scroll of Wi-Fi hidden in the Leviathan's cove. Our heroes enter the cave, and not 1 second in, they come across their first obstacle. The dreaded tightrope. They'll have to work together to balance each other out and get across. Oh, well, our heroes were able to maneuver the tightrope, but not unscathed. Our heroes come into a new passageway, but they best watch each other's backs. Oh dear. Seems like Sword has finally gotten the right idea. Huh. Or not. Guys. Our heroes were able to escape the cave and reach the cove of the Leviathan. The treasure they sought sat on the ship below. Really? Even when it's right in front of you? Fine, then how about this? Out of the depths came a fearsome beast. Your constant fighting has awoken it, and it is not happy. What? Look, it's good. I didn't have a lot of... The Leviathan launches a mighty attack. Nope. Oh, no you don't. Ha! Trying this attack again. Gah! You insolent fools! That was my favorite fin! No! Alright, you won. Here's the Sacred Scroll of Wi-Fi.
I want to play that.
Really? You don't just want to go play on the computer or something?
Scared you're gonna lose again?
Yeah, well, I was going easy on you that time.
Nuh-uh. We totally beat you.
Alright, come on, help me put another set together then.
Okay.
Hello, welcome back, everyone. We are here with Team Toybox. Team Toybox, say hi. Everything's done.
Definitely a sigh of relief, but also like looking back fondly on it, I think.
Mm-hmm. It was fun.
So, why Dungeons and Dragons? Why this kind of story?
I guess I'll go on this. I thought it could be a interesting mixture with kind of what we were doing with this sort of idea for a story with two characters, and I think you guys a little bit already had a bit of an idea, so we tried to kind of mix that together and created this.
Yeah, our main inspiration for this was like the Lego movie, and we can't just like copy. It's like reference inspiration. So we wanted to have a story where we could have characters be controlled by kids, and Dungeons and Dragons. We never played ourselves, but it was something we were all interested in, and the fantasy setting was very fun to play around with.
So if no one had ever played Dungeons and Dragons, did you have to do some research? Did anyone read about D&D? Did anyone actually try and play around with some friends?
So I've actually in between that time I have played, and I've done some research and stuff like that. So I do know a bit of kind of how things work with that a bit more, and it was interesting trying to mix some of that in there. So
All right.
it was fun.
And I just wanted to remind the audience, if you have any questions for our team, please throw it in the chat box. All right, so this is for all team members. If you had to be one of the characters in your short, who are you more like? Are you Sword? Are you Shield? The Leviathan? Are you the DM?
I'm Sword all the way through.
Yeah,
Leviathan. All the way.
I feel like it's pretty interesting because it's like cool to see how each of our team members relates to one of the characters. Shield was based off of my childhood bear, but I honestly feel like I relate most to the DM because I'm an older brother of two little siblings, so I understand the struggle.
I think I'm closest to the bear or Shield because of I don't know, just kind of accidentally falling into a lot of that stuff. So
I'd probably be closer to the DM as well. Just the that managing role.
Thank you, team. Was there anything that you had to cut out of the story that you really wanted to include?
Well, I know we had to cut back on a lot of like trap ideas, so we had to like condense it to like what we essentially thought were like the I guess more climactic stuff. I mean, correct me if I'm like not like saying that right. Because I think we had like there was like a Indiana Jones kind of like boulder chase idea somewhere in there, and we had to cut down on most of that so we can get it to cut that back on scale and get the timing.
Yeah, definitely like traps and stuff. There was a very speedy montage of just like tiny traps that we had that we realized wasn't adding to the story much and would just be a lot more assets to create and animate. But like I think the only thing that was lost there was like a little bit of like punch visual humor, and it was fine without it. We had fun either way.
Does anyone have a favorite shot or something that they're particularly proud of during this production?
I think the favorite one, the one I like to do the most at least, I did a lot of the simulations in Houdini, and I really loved doing the ship break scene. And that was one of my favorites, to be honest.
My favorite was working on the reaction shot from Sword when she turns around and realizes that Shield has just been stuck up with so many pins in them. That was a fun one to work on.
In terms of storyboarding, this was really the first time I boarded like a serious fight action sequence. I've done like little ones here and there, but that Leviathan fight was really fun. There was a lot of edits we made to it, and I really think the final cut was something I was proud of.
Yeah, I worked on the Leviathan as well, and just seeing the entire rig in action with the googly eyes sticking to the hand itself was it was nice to see.
Yeah, I did a lot of the Leviathan fight scenes of Sword and Shield, and those are pretty fun to put together.
Now, I know you mentioned previously in the senior showcase that you had built some of the set in person. Is that correct? Can you talk a little bit about that process?
It was mostly like cardboard cutouts and stuff, because we wanted to replicate like a kid play setup thing. We didn't go like really hardcore with it. We had a day with like two people where they came over, and I had like already cut out a bunch of stuff, and we set out like our best rendition of like what the real life counterpart would look like to us.
All right, this is probably the most important question. Who gets to keep the plushes?
So my little sister was originally going to make them, and she's the one that owned the real life bunny counterpart of Sword when we were kids. So she's getting to keep Sword. Shield, I've just got, and maybe I'll share custody with the rest of the team. And we were even like in the talks of like trying to get everyone a copy of them if it's possible, but it's up in the air.
Great, thank you. So I think we have time for one, maybe two more questions. So technically speaking, what was the most challenging part of this production? It was easy. It was a breeze.
I wouldn't say it was a breeze, but it's like, I don't know. It's all a blur by now. It's like it was a long road.
Yeah, there were a lot of different problems, I would say. I mean, I think we did trying to figure out kind of how to what to cut out and what to keep in the beginning was very difficult. And I know we've had I guess a little bit of some issues with trying to work now. Now that we can't be in the labs and things like that, and trying to use the server was, I think, a big one. But overall, I think we did pretty well kind of handling those.
Yeah, in terms of like technicality, I really can't speak too much for that because I just do like the animation. So I can't really speak for like the problems faced when like the Sims were being done. But it seemed to come along nicely.
That's fantastic. All right, team, thank you so much for being with us. Again, I really, really enjoyed your short. I think you guys should be proud. You have something really awesome. So next up, we have an animated short that tells the story of two kids in search of a rare flower, but end up running into a dangerous foe. Team Egg Salad presents Ask the Undead.
Rosie, tell me this legend again.
There's a rare white rose that can cure all evil spirits and untreatable sicknesses.
And that's why we're getting it for your mom? Because she's sick?
Yes.
But this is all just a legend. Some things just don't have cures.
Look, Spike, if you don't want to help me find the white rose, then you can just go home.
Fine. Maybe I will go home.
Fine. Just don't get eaten by the evil spirit here.
The what?
There's an evil spirit that doesn't want to be cured by the white rose, so it trapped it in these very woods.
If anything, I'm trapped here with you.
Just be on the lookout for a white rose, okay?
Rosie, you got us lost.
Spike! Spike!
Ha! Made it out before Rosie. Did she actually get lost? Rosie!
Phew, it had to be the black rose. Like, he was right behind me. Spike, are you okay?
She'll be fine. It's just a white rose anyway. How hard can it be to find? I bet there's even more roses inside.
Stupid, Spike. Like, it's not that hard to believe me.
Huh.
Spike!
Ah!
Nice work, everybody.
Yeah, for real. So I am here with Team Egg Salad. Egg Salad, please say hi to everyone.
Hello, hello.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
All right. So You are a very small team of 3 people, and every time I watch your short, I am just so impressed by the amount of work that you've accomplished with just 3 people. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you managed to do all of this?
Nick, do you want to take that one?
Sure thing. Yeah, for us, it was just a case of like making sure we were all on top of all the parts of production. So I did a good bit of the animation. I know Rachel tackled the animation as well as the rigging and the post production. And Justin was our team lead, so he did environmental modeling, some of the simulations, and animation. And so it was really just a case of, since we were all generalists, we did a little bit of everything, but we just had to make sure that like we got everything done. And another thing was we kept our scope down. Originally we had like early production, we had like another character or two, but we realized with our smaller team, we had to just limit ourselves to 2 main characters and, like the rigged rows, as well as a simple stylized background. So I think those were the big points in making sure this got finished.
Thank you. So can you talk a little bit about the idea behind the story?
I think we originally were inspired by a fairy tale, Drinda and Doringle, if I'm not mistaken, about 2 kids going into the woods looking for a flower and are taken by a demon or a witch of some sort. So we thought, like, oh, we'll take the demon or spirit approach and make the spirit an actual embodiment of the actual flower itself. So I think it turned out well.
Agreed. Now, it's been a very long time since I've read that fairy tale. So where did you have to deviate from the story? Did you follow it pretty well? What were some of the changes you made? Why did you make those changes?
We flipped it on its head. Originally, it was a guy trying to get a flower for his girlfriend, and we wanted to make it just friends. We wanted to make it a bit more younger to appeal to an audience, and we wanted to flip it on its head and make it the girl saves the guy at the end. So we kind of made it a bit more original.
Great. What were some of your influences for things like character design, the toon look? What were you looking at for inspiration and for reference?
Similarly to what Rachel said, we originally looked at The Amazing World of Gumball and some other childish cartoons like Cody and Kids Next Door and Adventure Time, and that's kind of where we mixed the proportions together. They all had the short stature but lanky limbs, kind of thin pipe-like almost, and similarly just big eyes. And the toon shaders came along with that. It's like, well, we're trying to emulate cartoons. Let's try and make it a bit more thick-lined, so to speak.
But yeah, as we altered sort of the visual design of the story, we sort of veered away from the Amazing World Gumball style, so they became a little less toony, a little more realistic, the characters. They're still obviously cartoony and have a toon shader, but their proportions got a little more realistic, because before they were had very big heads, very geometric angles. It was very stylized, and we also ditched the Amazing World Gumball style of having realistic backgrounds. We were going to aim for like photorealism at first, but I pointed out that Amazing World Gumball specifically went for that style because it fit sort of the zaniness of that universe and the comedy, and it was very deliberate in that sense. While here we're telling a somewhat serious fairy tale. Like, there are jokes, but it's meant to be like a little event. It's meant to be an adventure, so it's doesn't really work as well, and it's also saved us work to work on making everything toon shader rather than focusing on what hyper realistic texture do we need to research in today and implement so it actually looks photorealistic. But it ended up looking better, so guess what? Sometimes saving time and work actually ends up looking great too. It's not a trade-off all the time.
Thank you, Rachel and Justin. I want to ask about the dynamic between Spike and Rosie. So Spike's a little sassy sometimes, given her lip, and Rosie seems pretty level-headed and calm. So were there people in your lives that you were looking at when you were developing the personalities for the characters? Did they just evolve naturally?
I don't know about exact references or inspiration, but I know we had a lot of like script sessions. The three of us, we bounce ideas back and forth about like what a kid would sound like, what would be some of Spike and Rosie's responses. And so I know together we came up with a lot of the quips and jokes, and they really made us laugh. And so we just I know that was a big part of the beginning is really getting the script and dialogue down right, just so it felt like something real rather than some type of stereotype or cartoon.
Thank you. All right, so this is for either all three of you or anyone who wants to answer. What did you gain from this experience that you think will help you improve as an artist or help you in your career?
Well, I got more further experience with how to make with some degree of post-production, especially with how it requires multiple you kind of have to ask down the pipeline of, hey, can you render out this image so it actually allows for complex post-production by having like multiple render layers and things, and also just how to play with them a bit. And I also got more experience with facial rigging because I had only done it once before this, and now I got to do it twice again, and I got better at setting up various controls and making it easy to use for my teammates. I'm sorry if this is a bit incomprehensible, but it's definitely stuff that also I feel like it really did help to put into perspective how much time and effort these projects take, and how you really need to be on top of things with your team and schedule regular meetings so everyone knows where they're at.
It was sort of twofold for me, kind of like the same thing as Rachel was saying. First was the animation. I did a lot of the later shots in the barn. Personally, I love animating like dynamic, action-heavy shots, so I wanted to focus on those type of things, and so I got a lot more practice and experience in like really pushing the poses and the actions and the animation as far as it could go. I also got a chance to do some of the facial animations since I hadn't really gotten a chance to do that before. And then the second thing was just, I guess, like project management and just like the pipeline. It was a bit different since this was a big, animation group project, just kind of maintaining assets, file management, and just communication between all the members to make sure like all parts of the pipeline went smoothly. So I feel like that would definitely help me later in the career, as like that's a big part of any type of animation production, just making sure everyone, not only that everyone has what they need to do and get done, but also be aware of like what other pipeline departments are going through, maybe try and make things easier for them, more efficient.
Similarly to my two teammates, it was a lot of improving animation, post-production, and basically a lot of commitment that we hadn't committed to in the first place. This is a 3-minute short as opposed to a 1-minute or 30-second short that a lot of Drexel animation students are used to. And even though I had directed and created the story for those 30 second and 1-minute long animations, I had never made something or led something on this scale. So it felt really good to improve my leadership. And as Nick and Rachel said, setting up team meetings and communicating is key. And in the beginning, that was something I didn't do a whole lot of. And eventually, Nick and Rachel came in and helped me out, and we became much more active between each other. That's what really helped to finish this project. It wouldn't have been possible without either of them. So I'm really happy we did that.
Great. Well, thank you so much, team. We're going to move on to the next short. So round of applause for Egg Salad. Great job, guys. All right, so next up, our next story takes place in a dance club where the party never ends. Please enjoy Not on the List, brought to you by Team Rhythmic Renders.
I think that's enough for me for one night. But excuse me, I was just heading out.
Name?
Trey?
You're not on the list.
What? Is this a joke? Aren't you supposed to say that to people outside?
Step out of line, please.
You're kidding, right? You don't even have a clipboard.
Are we gonna have a problem?
I don't know who you think I am, but I'm finding your boss and I'm getting the hell out of here.
Hey, I saw you go up to the bouncer. Is he not letting you leave either?
Yeah, he gonna tell me I'm not on the list. What does that even mean?
He doesn't even have a clipboard.
He doesn't even have a clipboard.
So what do we do?
I'm trying to find a manager.
I'll keep looking around here. I'm Amanda, by the way.
I'm Trey. It was nice to meet you. Amanda, you just sitting here drinking? Did you find anyone?
How do you know my name?
We just met each other 5 minutes ago. The bouncer won't let us out.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was actually just leaving.
What's her problem?
How did you know the bouncer wouldn't let me out?
Huh? Haven't I seen you somewhere before?
Okay, that's it. I'm getting the hell out of...
What? What the hell?
Don't take it. They screw with your memory.
You're Amanda, right?
Did we lose them? What is this place?
Name.
Trey?
You're not on the list.
So I'm here with Team Rhythmic Renders. Congratulations, guys. You did a fantastic job. Please say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
So your animated short has a special place in my heart because it's just so poppy and fun, and I love the story. I love interesting twists on old tropes. So I'd really like to hear a little bit about the inspiration behind this story and also the aesthetic look.
One thing that we all agreed on when we were working on the concept was that we wanted it to be set to music. That's where the name Rhythmic Renders comes from. And I had a lot of ideas bouncing around in my head, but and we all did. Everybody in the group pitched ideas, but the one that we ended up going with took place in a nightclub, which made it very easy to, well, not easy, but it made it very sensical to set it to music. So that's why there's a lot of beats in the story that are part in line with the music.
And with the nightclub approach, that also kind of led us down into a more kind of stylized area that we kind of had been talking about in the early days of discussing. We wanted to do something that had a little bit more of a unique visual approach. And when we decided that we wanted it to be in a club, we decided, okay, it might be cool to go with this sort of futuristic, neon, weird environment. And that just kind of came naturally.
Now, with this idea and when you first started this project, was there something that you thought would be really challenging that you would have to do some research and dev for? And was that actually the most challenging part of the production?
Yeah, I think definitely some of the inspirations we were looking for were like Into the Spider-Verse. I'm pretty sure that's a film everyone loves. And we also looked, like Matt said, on like a lot of like neon like colors, and so films that have like used a neon palette before. And a couple of us are big anime fans, so we had to do a little bit of research. But I think definitely from a technical viewpoint, the chromatic aberration effect was definitely one of the more like challenging. Like I think we all thought, oh, how do we necessarily do it? And then we had to do R&D where we like found out that Sony actually wrote like custom scripts to like get the chromatic aberration like per se. But then when we came to post production, we realized that, oh, you could technically do it in a compositing software like Nuke, where basically you just split like the channels. You get I guess in our case we use like the red and green channels, and then you can manipulate the chromatic aberration per frame basically. And so we realized, oh, it's actually going to be way easier. I think if I'm thinking from a standpoint of looking into the future, definitely to have more customizations, we would do Sony's approach, which is write a script so that as artists you could have more control on where you want the chromatic aberration, because right now it's just like appearing on the frame. But yeah, that was definitely like one of those moments to learn.
Another big thing for us was figuring out how to do like the phases, because also sort of like Spider-Verse, we wanted to do this merge between 2D and 3D. And we wanted to like push the 2D by like having the faces be hand drawn. And we were able to figure something out that we feel worked really well in the end.
I agree with you. I think that the 2D aesthetic on the faces, the facial expressions, I thought you guys did a fabulous job, and it came out really great. All right. So any future plans for this animated short? Are you guys like you're done, you're graduated, or will you continue to work on it? Do you want to submit it to any festivals? What's going on there?
I think we're definitely going to continue working on it, and just taking it to the next level as much as we can. There's one of the last shots in the short is where they are in the new bar after they thought they've escaped, and they realize that there's drinks in their hands, and when they drop them, little exclamation points appear above their heads. And I really like stuff like that, like non-diegetic, like flashy so like I think that the more stuff like that we could add, like that would make it even more fun than it already is.
Did you have any stretch goals or any scenes that you wanted to get into the short, but time just wouldn't allow for it?
Well, we actually thought about, so this is interesting. There was basically we have like all the shots that I think we wanted to implement. There was this consideration we were doing of having one shot. We were not sure of whether, if we subtracted from the plot, what effect it would have. It's this one really like matrix, because we were trying to be very experimental with our like camera positioning and the cinematography of the shot. And so there's definitely one which is like a very like matrix shot where the camera like goes behind the bouncer, and like the bouncer is like trying to punch Amanda and Trey, and then Amanda like kind of like ducks, and like she does like this I think she like bends down and like she sweeps the bouncer, and it's a really like dynamic action shot. But then we realized that early on in the script there already is a confrontation, and so if like the bouncer can be taken out with just like one like side sweep, leg kick, necessarily does it add anything to the to the plot. And I think that's like one of the coolest things about just working as a team in this with the Drexel experience, is it actually makes us think as filmmakers, and it allows us to like go ahead and like think about it from every aspect, because at the end of the day we are making an animation shot, but it's also we're literally creating a film. So it made us think like very critically about every decision we made, stylistically, artistically, and thematically as well. So yeah.
Thank you. All right, so I have one more question for you. If you could all go back to the beginning of the fall term and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
You can never have enough iterations. Obviously, I'm proud of our work and I stand by it, but I think that like the more iterations that you go through, like the more like accounting for things going wrong that does, and you really just can't like drill that down enough on it, in my opinion.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, team. Again, you guys did a fabulous job. You should be really proud of yourself. So we're going to move on to the next short. So go ahead and say bye. Applause for our team Rhythmic Renders. So next up, we have an animated short that's a touching story about an unlikely hero who is determined to return a lost child back home. Team Molehill presents Uprooted. Everyone, we are here with Team Molehill. Big applause for you guys and for Uprooted. Well done. All right, so how are you guys feeling? Are you happy? Are you excited? Like, what's going on right now?
It's a relief that I couldn't even imagine.
Very relieved. All right. Well, my first question for you all is, what was the inspiration behind this story? Obviously, this was an original story, right? So, how did you guys come up with this idea? Did something motivate you? Did something inspire you?
Yeah. It started as a joke. At our first meeting, I think, I stayed up super late until the AMs, and I started watching this documentary on underground mole people. So I just brought it up as a joke, and I think Alexis was like, no, that's a good idea. Let's roll with it. And so here we are.
Yeah. And so after that, we had many different iterations, including humans and mole people. Then we brought it down to a mole. And then when I was writing the script and the screenplay, I really thought a lot about Monsters, Inc. and Ice Age. And that's kind of where you get that kind of story between an animal hybrid person saving a child.
Do you guys have a favorite character? Oh,
Cedra.
Morton. Cedra, really? No, I like Morton. I'm going to be basic and say Morton.
I think Cedra just has so much character just by looking at her. So that was like really great job from Devin's concept art. Like she's so dynamic.
I love the design.
Thank you.
So,
Cedra was the most sorry. Cedra was the most painful for me to design.
Please clarify. I would like to hear this.
I have a crippling fear of snakes.
So why were you assigned the snake character?
I'm the
I
concept
can't draw.
artist.
Yeah, I can't draw either.
Well, I applaud your bravery. You did a
Thank
fantastic job. All right. So this is a question for everyone on the team. As a team and as individual artists, how did you grow while working on this production? For example, did you guys discover anything new about yourselves? Maybe you're better at handling deadlines and stress than you thought, or you're pretty good at taking charge. So what did you discover and how did you grow?
I think this was really interesting for me because I took on all the roles that I didn't necessarily think I would want to. So I never did character like facial rigging. I learned that. I never did like rigging of like a snake with like a cape. Environmental design. We never used Unreal as well. So we did learn a lot. We basically had to challenge our knowledge of everything we've known for the last 3 years in order to get this done. So there was a lot of growth with that and with communicating online and not in person. And testing our computers to their limits.
That's very true. My computer did not like working in Unreal a lot. I also used Substance Painter for the first time during this project, which I think was really fun. It didn't feel like work at all, but unfortunately I didn't get to feel that way with Unreal, but.
Yeah, also, especially for Unreal, like it was very exciting to learn the camera sequence thing, the features. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, learning camera sequencer, and I don't know, I really liked lighting in Unreal once we finally got it to save. Because we had issues with like the file just saving for like a week, and it wasn't a fun week because that was basically rebuilding the environments completely from scratch.
That sounds really rough. So, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of firsts, right? This is my first time rigging a snake, our first time learning Unreal. So that to me sounds risky, you know. So as a group, how did you come to the decision, like why use Unreal Engine for your entire short if no one had ever used it before?
So I know I've been looking into it for my master's thesis, but once all the teams got formed, I believe Nick was going around like, you guys should use Unreal. So he was trying to, I think, get someone to get the bait. And, you know, I know Nick had been working in Unreal a lot. So we believe that, you know, that he would help us. And we knew that we were a small team and that we would rather spend time away from rendering it onto something that could be fixed. So we wanted to use it for its real-time capabilities and also, you know, learn something new and also like have it on your resume because Unreal is a new and exciting like software to use. But mostly wanted to save time with that ability.
Now, do you feel like you can kind of take anything on, considering that you've accomplished all of these firsts? You know, first you've conquered Unreal and the challenges that Unreal poses, and you know, your first time rigging a snake and faces. Do you feel like come at me world?
Yeah, but I need a little break before that, before I have that mentality full on. I need to chill out. But eventually, yeah, I'll get there.
Do you guys want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that were posed during this production and how you guys overcame those challenges?
I think all of our challenges really laid in Unreal Engine and troubleshooting pretty much until the bitter end, until the showcase.
And if we really want to talk about scope, we definitely had a large scope for our team, so we had to cut down like a couple things that we wanted. We still had stuff that we wanted to refine here, but like we definitely did the best we could, going back and forth, doing R&D while we were, you know, trying to animate and texture and such. So. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yes. Yes, it did. All right. Let's see. What did you guys personally gain from this experience that you think will be helpful moving forward for future productions?
I think the new programs thing, it really is helpful because like the more you know, the more like, I guess the farther you're gonna get, or like the more versatile you can be in like a professional setting.
Yeah, also we like went through all the pipelines, like as like I don't know like how professional, but yeah, that was very worthy to like learning.
I definitely think I gained a lot of leadership skills, and I think we all definitely improved on our communication and like organizing this whole thing from start to finish. So this was like, we've never had to deal with this for 9 months. Like we can always, organize a final within like the last 4 months of the term, but like 9 months is working with the same people, making sure everyone's on the same page and making sure we can all help each other. That was like a really valuable skill to have in being productive and efficient in the pipeline.
All right, my last question for you is, do you have any advice for our upcoming seniors?
Please do not be in a team with less than 5 people.
Yeah.
Please don't do it.
Yeah.
I think that's my number one.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask for help from the advisors, from your peers. I know a lot of people in our Discord were like, we're going to make a Discord channel for feedback. We really want everyone to do well. So definitely communicate with you, especially because they will be on campus. Yes. Communicate, do lab work, make your team big.
And remember to take care of yourself in between it all, because it really can be detrimental to if you like take on too much.
Definitely.
That's something you should really focus on.
Okay, thank you so much, team. Again, great job. I loved hearing from you. So applause for Team Molehill. All right. So next up is the classic underdog tale, where a robot designed for cleaning battles an intimidating challenger. Please enjoy Fighter Robo.
Nice work.
Hey everyone, we are here with Team Fighter Robo. So Fighter Robo, great job on your short. You guys really killed it. The 2D and 3D integration looks absolutely fantastic. How are you guys feeling?
Pretty good now that it's over.
Yeah, are you guys sleeping in now that you don't have 9 a.m. meetings every day or almost every day? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So my first question for you is, what were your biggest influences regarding your character design?
Well, for Robo personally, I kind of just looked up assistant robots and went from there. Like, they're usually like white, round. So I kind of like put those aspects into Robo.
I'm curious, what kind of results did you get from looking up assistant robots?
Well, it's been a while, but they're usually like really small. I know I saw like this one human-esque looking one with like a round face and like a screen face, so I kind of went with that. Robo actually went through like a lot of design changes. I did a lot of iterations for Robo. Like I couldn't fit all of the designs that I did for Robo in our presentation from our last animation showcase thing. But yeah.
And what about some of the other characters?
I designed the two antagonistic characters. I first I designed it like based off like the characteristic bad guy duo, where big guy who smashes stuff and then smaller guy who schemes. The human character, Lucius, I based off of a bad guy named Thalos from Fire Emblem Three Houses, and then the big robot guy, Atlas. I just wanted someone who was like a bruiser character to fit the role of like a famous robot fighting champion. And then I just thought of like two names that were like related to each other that sounded like cool. Go along with like the whole anime aesthetic or idea that we had at the beginning.
So the inspiration of the little girl character, I was like original get the idea from like a steampunk like style animation movie called like Steam Boy. And I also at the beginning I'm like drawing a pretty complex like character design, but we simplified it.
So I'm curious, what was the process? I mean, now we've got three separate people who have just talked about their inspirations for their character design, and you have to make sure that these three characters fit into the same universe, the same world. So what did that process look like? Did you guys all decide, we're going for this kind of look? Now, have free reign? Did you meet consistently and share different ideas and just get feedback from each other? What did that look like?
Well, I took all of the characters that they designed, and well, I don't think Ava, the girl character, really changed much. I just kind of like altered bits and pieces of her design to make it fit my art style more. So when I animated her, it looked more, natural. And for Manicius and Atlas, well, when Michael originally designed them, they were a little busy, their designs. So it would have been harder for Michael to model it and for me to animate the other human character. So I redesigned them to simplify their designs and fit my style. So I think Atlas originally had like a shield, and he held a flail. I think that's what they're called, or a mace. So
Morningstar type thing.
Yeah. So instead of like giving him hands and stuff, I just replaced his hands with those like flail mace pieces to save time there. And it looks cool, so.
It does look cool. I didn't know that was the original design. I like how it came out in the end.
I imagined like the Morningstar, and then like the shield had like a picture of like the world on it, because Atlas is the Greek titan that holds up the world in Greek mythology. That's what I'm thinking, but the design ended up being a lot better, especially for animation modeling.
So speaking about animation, part of this was 2D, part of this was 3D. So what was the most difficult aspect of production? Was it the 2D, the 3D, the combination, or something completely different?
Well, for me, the 2D was a little difficult just because I've never animated in the program that I was using before. We used Adobe Animate. So I had to basically relearn a whole new program. And the 3D integration surprisingly wasn't insanely difficult for me. I just needed to have the 3D animation like completely finished before I could do like finalize the 2D animation. So I guess that was the only challenge, just waiting for the 3D animation to get done so I could finish the 3D scene. But compositing was also not that hard.
All right. Now, opposite, what was the easiest, and maybe what accomplishments are you most proud of?
Well, I know for me, coloring was pretty easy. Just had to get the fill bucket tool and fill all the colors in.
I guess for me, I'd say rigging was extremely difficult, but when it got to animating, it was a lot more of a quicker process.
For me, I guess my easiest part for me was getting some of the more, well, I guess not easiest, but I guess my favorite thing is getting that walk cycle down for Robo that he has in a lot of shots. Took a lot of work trying to get that to look right, but I'm happy with it.
I think the lighting part, it's not that complex compared with other parts, but it's like actually turned pretty well. And for the texturing, because we need to make the 3D character kind of match the style with 2D. So we're looking a lot of like way to how to make that. The kind actually the most idea kind of example we find out is like they use Blender to make it, but we didn't learn anything about Blender. So instead we trying to find some like way working for Maya. And it's also like turned pretty well.
I agree. Yeah, you guys did a great job. The robots look fantastic. They completely integrate well with the 2D characters. So applause for you guys. Really, congratulations. I'm very proud of your short. I hope you guys are proud as well. So thank you, Team Fighter Robo. We're going to move on to our last animated short of the day. So our last short is an enchanting tale about a hero searching for a place where he can belong, a place he can call home. Please enjoy Memezo.
Nice work.
Congratulations, Team Memezo. You did an outstanding job. Your short is just absolutely beautiful. It's so lovely. So welcome. Everyone say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So I know that Memezo is not an original story, as in the team did not create this story. So how did you come across this story, and why choose Memezo? Was it just the moment you saw it, you knew this is what you wanted to do, or did you have other stories that were also kind of contenders?
Yeah, so I actually came across this artist. His name is Niels Pryor, freshman year. Just randomly came across his art website so long ago. And then, you know, when we got our group together and we were trying to figure out what story we wanted to do, we knew we wanted to do one that already existed. So we were looking through for inspiration and trying to find stuff that was already out there. And we came across the Pixar short Fetch, where it had like this kind of dog character in the woods that was all like smoky and dark and cool, and it just instantly reminded me of this story that I had seen so long ago. So that's kind of like how we started looking at it, and decided that, you know, it'd be kind of cool to do something more abstract and, you know, like stylized, artistic, kind of like, you know, something super unique. So it's kind of how we came upon the story.
Now, what were some of the challenges of bringing this 2D character who's essentially a black blob to life? Like, what were the most challenging parts about that?
Yeah, there was a lot of challenges with that. Forrest actually was the one who did the ripple effect. So there was a lot of like texturing, you know, iterations with what the stars were going to look like and, you know, how he was going to look in the environment. But I don't know, Forrest, do you want to talk about the ripple?
Yeah. We kind of, our tagline was we wanted him so different compared to the other characters. They didn't fit into the world, but he fit into the universe. So he wasn't so different that it just didn't make sense. Adapting him to a 3D character was hard. We definitely wanted to break up his silhouette, and throughout the year we got a lot of feedback about this is too much. We reeled it back. We thought about doing a particle simulation, and we landed on this displacement ripple effect that because of the rig that Brett did that involved shrink wraps and deformations, that the arms can go throughout his whole body, including his eyes. We needed to mask certain parts out. And we kind of use that element to tell the story too, because at the end, as he gets closer to the light, it ripples more and more. And then it goes completely to zero ripple. When he gets into the hole, he fits in perfectly.
Now, Brett, you were the primary animator for Memezo himself, right?
Yeah.
And you also rigged the character. So did you have, as you were rigging the character and as you guys were developing the actual 3D model, knowing that you would have to breathe life into this blob of a character and show emotions when he has literally like no face, he has eyes and stubby arms. So how did you bring this character to life? How did you give him emotion, and how early in the process did you start thinking about this?
Well, it was definitely something we thought about from the very beginning. It was nice, again, that we started with something that already existed within a 2D space, something that already had a very cute and lovable design. And we worked to put our own spin on that design. And we started in 2D and then brought it over into 3D. But, you know, we wanted to figure out a way to still give him that 2D feel. So we wanted something that had a very clear silhouette. And we wanted something that was flexible as well. And with his shape, you know, we wanted his arms to be able to move across the body and everything. But so that's why we ended up going with the rig that has all the different meshes, so you can actually move the arms up and down the body and everything. But yeah, it makes it easier to form and shape some nice silhouettes.
Well, you did a great job bringing him to life. Your animation was fantastic. You had other characters in this short. So we had the animal characters, and, you know, so you're going from Memezo, who's kind of a black blob, but then you have this environment and these real animals. So how did you come to the decision to go with this stylistic kind of watercolor painted look?
Yeah, we went through a lot of iterations with our style. We actually were originally going to have everything in color and go through an entire day and start like sunrise to sunset to kind of show the passing of time more. But you know, as looking back to the original story and, you know, trying to capture that emotion of like isolation and like honestly depression, and, you know, black and white just fit our theme and our message more. And, you know, with the original story had the characters just completely silhouetted, but we wanted to, you know, we have more of a intimate interaction with our characters, so we wanted to see their faces, we wanted them to pop out a little bit. So that's kind of how the colors came to be.
I think you did a fabulous job of texturing the environment and these characters. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about that process of creating the textures for these animals? Have you done something that's stylistic before? Was it challenging? Was it easier than you had anticipated?
So actually, it was extremely difficult because I had to do so many different iterations. We ended up using this renderer that didn't allow subdivision. So trying to get the textures to look three-dimensional ended up taking a lot of research and a lot of time, but in the end, I think it definitely was worth it. I found a tool in Substance Painter that it allowed whatever sculpt you put on the character, the brush will follow and kind of mimic the sculpt. So it's almost like you're brushing the hair and the color onto the character. It was really awesome. Allie in a previous group explained that Substance was extremely fun to work with, and it definitely is. I can attest to that.
For the environment too, like Cheska said, the renderer doesn't allow for bump maps or displacement maps, so anything that gives you that subtle 3D look on any surface. So all the detail in the environment is in the geo itself, which can kind of be a bit taxing, and Kate had to deal a lot with that when it came to lighting. And Cheska's textures actually held up because it was a decision we made afterwards, and so there was no bump, no displacement that we actually had that we could use, but we realized that the diffused color worked in the end, and it was fine enough without them.
Well, overall, it came out looking really wonderful. So well done, guys. All right. So I think this might be our last question. We might have time for one more. What were your favorite moments of the production?
I think for me, it was when we had decided the stylized renderer and we kind of just got to see everything come together, because you know, we'd kind of all been working in our little separate areas. You know, we had character people, we had environment people, and then once we started getting the renders going, it all came together, and it was just so fun to see that all in like one image. I don't know about everybody else, but that was my favorite.
I'd honestly have to agree with Kate, because we were going for several different looks for this whole short, and it could never seem to really, like, it never ended up being really what we wanted. But once we found that watercolor style, I think it definitely clicked for all of us.
I have to. Oh, go ahead, Julie.
Go ahead. Okay. I think for me, it was definitely like seeing it all come together, like all the pieces and just how they fit with each other. I know at the very end when we had the music and like we were all watching it together, like the night it was due, and we were all just like on Zoom, like for the first time, we're watching like this final like animation that we like spent 9 months making, and it was like, oh my God, like we all just, I like wanted to cry. Like I was like, this thing turned out like amazing. Like I was like, oh my God. But I think that was definitely like something for me, like when just seeing it all come together was really like, I don't even know, like it was crazy.
Yeah, similar. Like for me, all the renderer and the watercolor, but especially when we got the score, Quake, who did it literally in 2 days. That was the second pass, and he is phenomenal. He's a very talented person, and we were very lucky to have him. And right at the very end, where we got the wide shot, it cuts out, and like we didn't tell him to do that, but it was absolutely perfect. And that's when I got chills on that moment. So that was a special moment for me.
Yeah, I have to agree that just seeing it all to come together was extremely rewarding. I've never felt like that in my entire life. And to be able to do it with a team made it that much more special to share it with other people.
Thank you, everyone. All right, I'm going to ask you one more question. Do you have any advice for our other animation students for working on their senior projects?
I would definitely say make sure you keep up with your schedule, set deadlines for yourself. I think that was definitely something that helped our team a lot. But another thing I would say is definitely don't be afraid to be vulnerable and communicate with them. Like if something personal is going on, or even just something simple like, I can't finish this right now, like, can you help me out? Just making sure you communicate any way you can, I think would really help.
For me, it's your faculty is there to help you. I remember I emailed the lady about a problem with an FBX that I fixed like 5 minutes later, and she spent like literally like an entire day on it, and I kind of felt bad. But they're there to help you, and they're a great resource to have.
I had forgotten about that. All right, thank you so much, Memzo. So applause for Team Memzo. All right, so in one moment, we're gonna ask all of they're no longer our seniors. God, you all graduated already. We're gonna ask everyone to come back on. But first, I just wanna say, I started at Drexel 2018 and you were all freshmen, right? So you were literally my first freshman class when I was at Drexel, and now you're all leaving me and I'm just like, ugh, what am I going to do next year? But I'm just seeing you guys all progress from freshman to now. I couldn't be happier. You guys have delivered some amazing work. You all have become really wonderful artists, and I'm just really proud of you guys. So I just want to say congratulations, class of 2021. All right. All right, so at this moment, everyone please turn your cameras back on. Let's just do one last goodbye and one last hurrah to celebrate all of you. It's too bad Zoom can't support like tons of audio feeds, because I'd love for everyone to be cheering. But I love the poses, Justin. Thank you. All right, guys. So audience, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed all of these really awesome animated shorts. Students, well, you're not students anymore. Young adults who are now going to be career professionals, please come back, stay in touch. You know, we'd love to hear from you. And thanks again.